Austin Sullivan to also be the voice of industry. Please welcome Mr. Sadesh up on stage. We also like to welcome from A-Star once again Mr. Liao Eng Soon, that vibrant young man. There you go. With a lot to share with regards from A-Star and how he can support SMEs especially. Also like to welcome up Mr. Alan Chua from Concord Security, happens to be one of our BMI awardees. And our latest addition to the panel, we'd like to invite is another BMI award winner, who happens to be Miss May Yap from LHD Holding Limited, one of our BMI awardees as well, to join us. Wonderful. Once again, thank you to our panelists. I will be your moderator for the day, and to kick off the panel discussion, we will now basically invite our latest panelist addition, once again, Ms. May Yap, to maybe perhaps give an introduction of yourself, and please step yourself to the microphone.
Sure.
Thank you.
Not to worry, I won't be giving you lengthy presentation. Very short. But anyway, I'm taking salary from company, so I need to introduce company perspective, okay? I think, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is May Yap. I'm Executive Director of LHD Holdings. I'm in charge of all the marketing activities and all the development about business activity, especially in green campaigning. Basically, let me introduce our company profile to you. LHD have been in very active role situation in the wood preparation business since 30 years ago. We have managed to transform our natural wood business to recycled wood business by year 1999. Until today, it's about 15-year history in recycling specialists. Our recycled wood name called technical woods. It is also known as a new wood. In Singapore, we got new water, but we got new wood. The wood is acts as an alternative of solid timber. We have developed a wide range of innovative products such as pastry pellets, ECR pellet for leasing. And we have worked closely with A-Star for the technology. We specialize in recycling of post-consumer wood waste recycling that we collect from pellets, plates, table drum, furniture, panel board, municipal waste wood. The wood is recycled to be reused as a raw material and substitute to solid wood, engineered wood for furniture components or as biomass wood chip in the production of energy. The waste wood is collected, very fast. Sure. The waste wood is collected, shredded, cleaned and safe and make it to specification and delivered to our customer for cogeneration steam purpose, and also power generation plant to deliver our specification. We are able to accept by truck, by road, and send it to other countries for biomass also. That will be like South Korea or Thailand or Malaysia.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. May Yap. We are sure that you will be able to contribute with a lot of value in terms from your personal experience on utilizing BMI to innovate your business or your company's business. Ladies and gentlemen, this panel discussion would be solely focused on your concerns. As you can see, we have a distinguished gentleman here who have taken their time to be present to answer your most pressing questions. Of course, the topic for this afternoon or for this two-day conference has been very much around BMI. And for this afternoon's panel discussion, we would also like to talk about managing the risks in business model innovation, managing that transformation towards BMI. So if there are anyone out there, perhaps I'm sure you have some questions already by now. And this is a good time to ask those questions. Anyone, please, you can begin to raise your hand, and of course our ushers with microphones will come straight to your station to allow you to voice your questions. Anyone, please, raise your hands. We are ready to receive your questions now. Okay, as you slowly begin to digest the comfort level of voicing out your concerns, maybe perhaps I could start and maybe also approach some of our distinguished speakers here to share some insights. Recently, there have been ministers calling out to companies to relook into their business models for transformation in profitability. Different companies have different motivations for business model change. There is survival in a saturated and homogeneous market, middleman crisis in a digital age, next generation family business transition, etc., etc. Today's conference has presented us a lot of information, as all of us will agree, and we have heard a lot about the need for companies to look into BMI if they wish to compete locally and globally. We've also seen a lot of examples of the use of technology coupled with good strategies to capture these new markets or to change the way they produce. We also heard from Frost and Sullivan on the impact of people factors on business model innovation in Singapore. However, I still think that it is necessary for entrepreneurs, especially those who are excited, to tweak and change their business models to identify both opportunities and risks in the ideal future or near future. So I guess the questions that we would like to, basically understand a little bit more, especially from my point of view, as an SME founder as well. I'm also a startup, a three-year-old business in the service sector. I think one of the most pressing questions is how different are the risks in business model innovation or change in terms of workforce adaptability, of course redeployment of plans, existing and future customer relations management. This is something that I'm also really concerned about, or production capacity and the capabilities that we can offer. So there's also involvement of research management, financial resilience, technological integration, all of those. How difficult can I manage this risk as compared to the old traditional approach of managing a business? Maybe perhaps Mr. Satish Lele can also give us some insight on that from Frost and Sullivan.
Yeah, I think, as Professor Sergey mentioned, the risk related to BMI is much lower compared to traditional ways of innovating that we see. It can be either technology or product, whereas we do have to invest upfront to really develop particular technology or a product before we can approach the consumer. So in the business model innovation frame, you are looking at your internal processes more closely to see what you can change within that, which can transform to a better value proposition that you can bring to your client. So you can do it in a pilot kind of format. You can test it out, and then you can roll it out fully. So in terms of the actual risk to the business, I think it is much lower compared to the other traditional forms that we talk about.
But yet at the same time, as we explore this new BMI strategy, where especially when we share of information a little bit more open than usual, that particular risk, I think many of our local SMEs or startup companies are really holding tight to our formulas or our, so to say, our ingredients for the business model. Maybe perhaps Professor Natasin from INSEA could help us to shift our mindset regarding this particular risk that we are not so eager to take.
So I would agree with Satish that the risk with business model innovation is much lower than when you invest millions of dollars into R&D and then praying that whatever you create is going to work. Of course, it depends greatly on how you manage your business model innovation. And in my experience, a lot of companies tend to do it kind of all or nothing. To say, okay, here is an innovation, and we're going to implement it in the entire company in the belief that this will work. This is a bad approach to innovation, because innovation by itself is risky. We are exploring something which before was unexplored. So the right way to do it is through experimentation. You allocate a little bit of money and you prototype a new business model. You launch a little pilot. Let's say you are a retail organization with 50 outlets. Launch it in one, test it out, see how the market reacts. And with business models, you can do it quite easily. It's much easier than, say, testing out a new technology, because to test out new technology, you first have to invest a lot of money to create technology. And by the time you created it, the capital is already sunk. With business model innovation, there is typically a way to do low-cost experimentation, and maybe 90-95% of your experiments will fail. You will discover that most of the innovations you were thinking about, they are not viable, but you're not going to spend millions of dollars. So you can experiment with it cheap.
Thank you. And also, maybe perhaps we can also hear a personal sharing from one of our BMI awardees. Perhaps Mr. Alan Chua from Concord Security can also add in with regards to how we can manage this risk, because I mean, business, we need to take risk at every level. However, there are calculated risk and non-calculated risk. Maybe perhaps, sir, you can inspire us a little bit more on how we can perceive this particular risk that we will have to take when we do utilize the BMI approach, of course, for better results.
Of course, I think every new model business, there is risk involved. We change, we innovate this new business model from various point of view. One of the viewpoints is what I said earlier. I've been in the industry for many years. I think it's time for me to look at not only financial gain but commercial gain. We are taking a risk on this speaking to sort of reduce our current model, so-called to slowly place our current model business and transform into the new way of providing these services. Of course, like I said, one of the most significant aspects is the ability to bring social benefits to the overall rich worker. Create a new model, create a new work-life balance for them. I think with that in mind, I think the little bit of risk we think is worth the venture.
Right, thank you so much. Okay, that was just warming up our panels here, just to get us in a nice direction on the kind of questions we may ask. Once again, opportunity is open to the floor. Thank you. Can we please have a microphone to the gentleman on the second row in the middle? Thank you. We also implore the rest of our delegates to please stand by with a question or two. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you, panelist. The question is, what are the main disadvantages of BMI?
Sorry, sir. Can you please...
Main disadvantages.
Yeah, one moment, sir. Can you please introduce yourself and...
Yeah, I'm Mr. Anil Kumar. I'm from Bionics National Private Limited. So I'm actually a job for the engineering department.
And the question again, sir, really loud and clear.
So what are the main disadvantages? Disadvantages from... What are the negative points from BMI? So how you want to tackle that? What are the main core disadvantages with BMI? So we all only speaking about the advantages, and we also have the negative points of the BMI. So what is that you can predict for implementing the BMI?
Thank you very much for that question. Does anyone want to take this one? Just to understand that question once again, we apologize, we're having a little bit of a hearing issue. Can we perhaps turn on the stage monitors a bit louder so we can hear our friend once again? Just to understand that question specifically.
Okay, what is the main? So we actually comparing the BMI with the traditional, the BMI, the business model innovation, technological innovations. So we say the risk is very low for the business model innovations compared to the technological innovations. So apart from that, from business model innovation itself, so can we say some of the main disadvantages? Okay, so this is what we can expect from the BMI compared to the technological innovation, because we always say technological innovation is compared to business model innovation is higher risk. But what are the risks when compared to the technological innovation? We can say that business model is not so have some negative impact.
Maybe I'll try to answer this one. So to me, the biggest risk with business model innovation is organizational resistance, because when you invent a new product, nobody is going to lose a job. If anything, someone's job will become bigger because you sell another product, revenue grow, etc. So everything is great. Now imagine that you are going through a business model innovation, and instead of selling products, you go to selling services. What this means is you need completely different capabilities from your organization. You need different salespeople, they have to talk to a customer differently. You are going to have shifts of power in the organization. Maybe before main people were product salespeople. Now the main people are maybe product support people who used to be in the back office. For many organizations, this is very hard to do. This is gonna run into political resistance as an organization, and people will say, no, I don't want a new business model because in the previous business model I have more power. So to me, this is the biggest risk. And if CEO is not committed to support business model innovation, very often it's going to be stuck, fighting against these political powers within different departments.
So I guess there will be more disadvantages to not implement these new business strategies or philosophies in order to compete in the new world, right? Would that answer your question, sir? Yes, sir. Thank you. More questions, please, Singapore. How can we help you? How many, show of hands, how many of us here, are business owners, decision makers? Please raise your hand, please. Any decision makers here, business owners? How many, sir? Raise your hand very quickly. 1, 2, 3. Only 3 out of the hundreds out there. Okay, and how many of us are here on a directive from the boss? Raise your hand, please. Under boss's instructions, please go to the conference on my behalf. How many of you? Raise your hand. Maybe a pinky finger for you lot? No one. So perhaps, how does BMI interest you? Maybe perhaps a few of us here definitely are attending this conference because they want to know more about BMI. So how is BMI interesting for you? I'm sure you still do have some relevant questions regarding this concept. Anyone? Show of hands. Thank you very much. A gentleman in the middle. This is like a lucky drawing. Maybe we should order some tokens for the next couple of questions.
Yeah, my name is Chandra. I'm coming from Puvotu. So I think my question will be for the Professor Insayan and Sue, Professor and Sue.
Sure.
If I heard correctly that the BMI, the business model innovation is usually triggered by the leader, which is in fact supported by his survey. Now my question is, as you know, the organization is run by people, and usually the front people is the one who deal with the customers, and they are the one who face with these people. And sometimes these are the front people who create challenges, and they might have ideas to change the business model. And in fact, I think this is what happens quite a lot of examples. So how do you, in your opinions, how do you overcome the challenge from an organization point of view, especially SME? Do you think that it has to be top down rather than bottom up, or maybe there's another approach?
Maybe I can start. See, from an SME perspective, when we did the survey, if you look at Singapore SMEs in terms of the structure, a lot of them are small. They don't have adequate manpower to look at various functions within the business. A lot of them are doing all of the things together. So in that situation, it is typically the CEO or the owner who actually has to drive that change within the organization. It's very unlikely that an employee or maybe a supervisor is going to drive that change as far as BMI is concerned. So it has to be top down in these kind of organizations. As the organizations grow bigger and bigger, then there is probably a potential, and probably Professor can enlighten, is that various business units can also look at BMI in the way that they want to transform themselves. But from an SME perspective, I think it is essentially the leadership who has to bring about that change within the business.
To follow up on this statement. I completely agree. So business model innovation is typically top-down innovation versus a lot of productivity innovations that bottom-up. People from the bottom, from the line, kind of submitting ideas. In order to innovate business model, you need support of the CEO, of the owner, who has to sponsor the process, and then somebody has to actually organize and run the process. And to run the process successfully, then you need input from people from all lines of business. There have to be financial people involved, marketing, sales, operations, from all lines coming together, discussing current business model, and then brainstorming on possible innovations to this business model. And then CEO has to establish some deadlines and say, okay, look, we identified 5 possible business model innovations. I want from you now to go to collect data, conduct experiments, and in 3 months we are meeting again, and I want to listen to the teams that have been doing those experiments, testing out those innovations. I want to see the result of the experiment, and then we make a decision based on the result of those experiments. So CEO has to be involved, and top managers have to be involved, because you need input from all of them, because business model consists of revenue model, cost model, resources, etc. So all managers have to come together and give input into business model innovation process. But direction comes from the top.
Thank you, sir. Professor, did that answer your question, sir? Yes, wonderful. Any more questions? Yes, another gentleman. Introduce yourself, sir, please.
Hi, I'm Sui Sun from Lab Logistics. Probably this question is directed more towards Professor Sergey or Santish, but anyone in the panel can answer. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the term the Blue Ocean strategy. Okay, I'd like to just find out how does that actually function with what kind of relationship does it have with BMI, whether does it complement or is it like a way to support BMI? Because Blue Ocean strategy also professes things like building new brands, building new models, disruptive innovation. So probably if you guys can share some comments on that. Thanks.
Perhaps we will have Professor to start that one off.
Yes, so inventor of Blue Ocean strategy is Professor Chen Kim, who is my colleague at INSEAD, so maybe I can start. So to me, there are quite a few different frameworks for taking your company to a new level. It could be disruptive innovation, it could be business model innovation, it could be Blue Ocean strategy. Whichever one of them helps you, it's great. And the more tools you have to innovate, I think is better. To me, Blue Ocean strategy is a very different approach. It typically looks at your current non-users, people who currently do not use your business or are not your customers, and you try to think how to convert non-users into users. Okay? Typically, this involves designing a new product or service. It involves finding a new market niche where right now there is no competition. Hence, the term Blue Ocean strategy, you go from red oceans where there is a lot of competition, you find a market niche where there is no competition. To me, business model innovation is very different. Business model innovation does not necessarily involve looking for new customer niches or creating, converting non-users into users. You basically go to the same customers you always had, but with a different business model. So I think they're very complementary, and my experience is some frameworks work better with certain types of firms. To me, Blue Ocean strategy works great in a consumer goods industry, somewhere where it's easier to think about new products and finding new customer niches. As far as I can tell, Blue Ocean strategy may not work as well, say, with manufacturing companies or with traditional commoditized industries, oil, gas, transportation, things like that. In these cases, I would say business model innovation works much better. Okay, so that's just kind of my personal experience from teaching alongside with people who teach Blue Ocean strategy.
Probably I would just add a little bit to this, because if you look at the structure of the Singapore manufacturing industry, a lot of them are not OEMs. There are very few OEMs who own their own products and sell directly to the end user. Most of the manufacturers today in Singapore are actually either supplying to OEMs, they are contract manufacturers. So for them, looking at a blue ocean strategy is even more difficult, probably 2 steps away, than looking at business model innovation. So I think that's something that you have to be very mindful of when you look at your own business and which are the customers you are serving today.
We hope that answers your question, sir. Thank you. Let's invite the next question, please. Please raise your hand. The microphone will be sent over right away. Any of our business owners out there? You can pose a question with regards to BMI or any other methodologies they may be considering. This is a good time to ask. Sir.
Hi. Good afternoon. With my boss's permission, may I ask a question? My name is Suraji, and I am one of the organizing committee members for SIPC. I am from CP. Okay, my question is addressed to Mr. Eng Soon from STAR. On behalf of SMEs, maybe can you give some simple examples or scenarios where, from the BMI point of view, how technologically you can help the SMEs and collaborate, and in terms of how much the SMEs need to fork out from their own pocket once the collaboration is done. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. How much the SME will fork out? That's a very interesting question. In all our experience working SME, the Singapore ecosystem, the government ecosystem actually got a very strong financial support for SME actually. So most of our support actually spring, our sister agency usually fund about 70% of the development cost. So basically you pay 30%. Obviously we work with construction company as well, that one you can look for PCA, and they generally fund about 50 to 70% as well. We also work with IE Singapore. We actually work with hotel as well, and to your surprise, you may not know, STB, Singapore Tourism Board, actually do fund certain project up to 50% as well. So in terms of financial cost, I don't think SME really need to worry a lot about it. You really can go to SME Center, SMF, SMF also got an SME Center, so go there and ask them for help. I'm quite sure they can find a certain scheme for you. As MOS, you like to joke about it. We also confused about how many financial schemes we have out there. So you ask me, I also confused. On the first part of the question on technology, you ask me, PMI is really not about new technology, or frankly speaking. It's not. RFID is around for as many years as you think of it. It's just a different way to use it. I'm quite sure it come out in downtown line, people use it to track construction worker going to tunnel. There is a different applications because RFID is used in logistics sector, but now we use it to track people. There's another way. So if an RFID company, there's another avenue to expand the business. I want to touch on the PE as well, just on the question. A PE usually a contract manufacturer in Singapore, but generally you may want to look at your core competency and ask yourself whether your company can go to the MedTech area. MedTech, I mean manufacturing certain devices, medical devices, because our SME, especially in the PE sector, as I get to know them, they do have the competency to manufacture high-tech equipment, which I think give you higher profit margins. This one, I'm not sure you have heard this before. Basically, there's a SimTech, one of RI actually work, basically SIPC kind of approach them. You know, you take an airplane, the plastic molding, the table that fold down to have your airplane meals. The one is actually plastic molding. But what happens is because it's used in the aircraft, so there is certain certification. So our RI actually work with the certification authority and then bring some SME on board. So this SME, they are just plastic molding company, and then because of this certification, now they are able to manufacture aircraft parts. And the same part, think of same plastic, because you have aircraft, can give you a much higher profit margin, because there's a requirement. So you think of it this way, PMI is not about new technology at all. So from technology point of view, PMI got one of the lowest risks around. I hope I give you an idea how to go for the technology and funding.
Does that answer your question, sir? Thank you very much. Any more questions, please, coming from the floor? Please keep them coming, don't stop. We'll be giving away tokens soon enough. For anyone up there with a question, please? Okay, perhaps I shall ask one that I think is quite relevant and also quite pressing, especially from an SME point of view. More often, the company CEO or founder is usually the one creating these new ideas, experimenting new strategies, perhaps because of their strong passion in their business to begin with. So other than the CEO, how can this responsibility can also be borne by the staff within the safe environment, knowing that this information will not be going out of that environment, so it's kept safe? How can every other staff contribute to this business model innovation? How can we encourage this relationship between the employees and the CEO or the team managers? What kind of environment do we need to build? What do we need to do? Maybe perhaps from personal experience, we can ask your good self, sir. We're going to approach this to Mr. Masood Asiri because he's done it, he's walked the path.
Thank you. Look, the organizations in Asia versus organizations in the West have different shareholder structures, majority-wise. Like the employees normally are not given stock options. One of the ways that I bring my staff into improving the company is making sure I give them stock options to make them owners of the company. That has helped us quite a bit in making them think, this could be your retirement plan you're working on. It's not just a salary. So that is one way that I found quite useful to make our employees loyal, make our employees owners, part owners of the company, and that has helped a lot. The other way is, actually I was kind of surprised to find one phenomenon here over the past 15 years working, 20 years working in Singapore. Change is not easy here, and everybody wants to do what they did yesterday. And innovation and inventions is not something that's natural. And like the professor and the colleagues mentioned, things like introducing new business models is very, very difficult, even to our customers. If you take a look at the process that we are introducing, paperless and all that, you don't even go to the site. You have managers that their responsibility is to do site setting. And so they're like, what am I going to do after I buy this software? I don't have any employees anymore. I don't need to. So they'll be like, they look at it as, oh, I'm going to be retrenched. As opposed to what was stated is, no, you're going to do much more. And you're going to develop a lot more instead of just going in and out of this site. So in this part of the world, we have problems with job shifts. We have problems with innovation. We have problems with, in many parts of this region, there is ethical issues that employees are not 100% ethical. In different countries, it varies the percentage of it, and they prefer working with the vendor and interest of the vendor rather than the interest of their company. So that creates a problem for the CEO down, which does not have visibility for all that. So to convert their business so that visibility and database and all that controls all the moving parts of their company. And paying attention is very important because there's a lot happening underneath that CEO doesn't even see. And automating it and bringing it into transparency is very important. And then, of course, from that point, like I mentioned, making the employee not to just look at what's in it for him today, also what's in it for him tomorrow and the tomorrows after that. Because you don't want to have employees that they're responsible for thousands of dollars, where their salary is a few $100s a month. And obviously they'll be looking at how am I supposed to, what my interest lies in the other parts, not necessarily the company. So bringing that, making them part owner, and incentivizing them correctly, I think is a very useful tool.
It sounds like a very innovative leadership style as well. Something that is still not full-blown in Singapore at the moment. Is something that's very rare that I would personally come across. Business leaders who are willing to to go that extra mile to build that trust with their staff or their employees or their team. I also want to invite Ms. Yap actually, Ms. Yap, because I believe LHD Holding Limited is a local company, and of course you are a BMI awardee, your company is a winner. You have successfully managed to change some mindset or perceptions to get your teams, whoever that was relevant to be a part of that project, to get on board. Can you share a little bit about the challenges that you overcame, or that your company overcame, to successfully get a team to work towards this new innovative project that you were working on?
Actually, for this BMI, I should say that it's not a standard formula. It's a type of application. So it depends a lot of teamwork that your staff willing to contribute or come up new idea. But say it's easy than done. I should say it should be stay creativity and innovation that can to change the company BMI. But it is very there is no right or wrong in this BMI. It should say there is a so-called like how you profile and how you really adapt the system and how you make your company more competitive edge to not really pick out your competitor, but it's how to balancing your whole business strategy that can be sustained.
Well, what Mr. Masood has just shared as well. I mean, everyone today is sophisticated. We are living in a sophisticated community, and the most pressing common question would be, if I'm going to help you achieve your dreams, Mr. CEO, or your vision, what's in it for me? How did you buy that?
Singapore SME typically different from it is boss that actually drive the whole direction. But as an employee, have reached your idea. They should actually most of the time all must work together, brainstorm the whole concept, how to make it more innovative, how to make it be a revenue generating, and how to make your business model sustain in long term, not a short term type of concept. That will be a good business model. Otherwise, okay, for instance, like for our company, we have a big plant. So we got a lot of assets, so-called a lot of equipment. So we will actually go and determine the equipment, how much it can perform, what type of product can really produce. Then we will based on that to work out the outputs. Then what type of shape, what type of thing that we can really tap on certain standard, then become be very innovative that can suit the market requirement and make market really accept our product, then can continually serve our customer. But by tapping on that, we are actually using selling strategy, like profile the product being very specialized, that a lot of competitor or either my competitor cannot easily compete. For instance, like technology, you can't compete that is a good technology that you can really profile your company position and your company business model. If technology easy that people to replicate, that tomorrow, today is your business, tomorrow the other company business again. It's not a good business model. So I should say everything should be balanced. It won't be one side, so-called lopsided concept. It should be balanced between financial, marketing, also your distribution channel, and physically, like talk about market response. It's one way that we also need to very cautious. If in order, we need to really go and do feasibility study on the market survey, then we can carry on with our new product or new development.
Right. So basically, I think one of the main key points that you were mentioning on how you get your team on board is through teamwork. And of course, I believe there's recognition as well that is given back to the team for good work done. How do we motivate an entire workforce to join you on the bandwagon with the BMI approach was the question. So of course, you mentioned something to do with teamwork, a lot of communication, there's a lot of motivation that's going on, and in a team-based environment, it makes it easier to achieve that common goal. Is that what you're pressing on?
Yes.
Maybe perhaps Mr. Alan Chua of Concord Security. Sir, I believe when you started off, it may have been a bit of a challenge because you were coming with some really cool, innovative ideas. How did you manage to succeed to bring an entire team to be a part of that mission to help you achieve what you had in mind or set out to do? Sure, sir. Okay. I'm sure as Mr. Alan Chua, you are BMI awardee. You came up with an innovative idea to, of course, increase the business productivity sense of it. And you were working with a team of people, most likely. Were you the one personally spearheading the entire BMI approach or this innovative approach to your project? How did you get your entire team to buy in as well, with the same amount of passion and commitment level as you had, sir?
Say earlier, it's a team effort. I think every one member of the team has put on effort. I think they basically believe the company vision of the ability to transform the industry, the ability to create this new business model, this new model innovation. That's how we get everything done.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the floor? We've so far been covering about how leaders or CEOs, top management can inspire, motivate the down workforce. But of course, I'm sure there are some questions as well on how the perhaps middle management can also inspire and motivate our leaders in our various business environments to also consider BMI. That's it from my point of view. Is there anyone out there who perhaps would like to pose a question, something of a genuine concern to your environment, to your personal experience? Please, ladies, I believe you're very forthcoming, more forthcoming than men these days. Maybe perhaps a lady would have a question on the floor? Anyone? What a grand opportunity we have here. Six distinguished speakers on our panel who are able to give you inside information with regards to your approach to BMI or any challenge that you may be facing. So just before we wrap up this panel, I'm just going to allow the floor to have another 5 minutes to consider if they might have a question or so. I'm just going to pose one more question before we wrap it up. I think this is a question that perhaps we were discussing a bit later on, but we'd like to just dive into a little bit, especially when it comes to technology. We all know that technology is more than an enabler in some instances of a business model innovation. But how do companies manage the high risk rising from technology implementation? Technology is not cheap, it's relatively quite pricey, and of course, as A-Star has already assured us that there is a certain percentage of funding, but however, the price is still quite expensive. How can we take that step forward with technology and minimize that risk at the same time to make it bold move? Maybe perhaps one of our panelists who is comfortable with this technological experience may give us some advice on that. Perhaps Professor? Thank you, sir.
So I would say in an industry where technology evolves very quickly, when you think about a business model, you should try to create a business model which is agnostic to technology, which, it doesn't matter. So, iTunes is a good example. It doesn't really matter what kind of device you connect to it. It could be iPhone, it could be iPad. It doesn't really matter. You still buy from iTunes, and so iTunes doesn't care. You still get revenues from iTunes. The same way you can think about many contemporary problems. So, for example, you think about, let's say, electrical cars, right? So, technology for batteries evolves relatively quickly, so people are afraid to buy a car with a battery because maybe tomorrow a better battery will be invented. So you have to think, okay, how can I create a business model which doesn't really place this technological burden on the consumer? And there are some emerging business models. For example, there are some electrical car companies that are trying out electrical cars which do not have a fixed battery, which you can switch a battery, and consumer doesn't even buy a battery. So the battery is owned by the company, and you just pay as you drive. So that would be an example of thinking about a business model which doesn't really rely on a particular technology, which will accept any technology as it evolves.
Thank you, sir. What about Mr. Liao Eng Soon from ISTA? You've already had personal experiences with several of our local SMEs who've approached you with their various concerns, especially when it comes to maybe on certain subject that we may be ignorant about. And of course, we have this maybe some fears that may arise to prevent us from moving forward. How can we better educate or maybe create that sense of awareness that will encourage SMEs to move forward, to take this bold move with the BMI approach?
Let me echo what the Prof said. BMI process, the initial process of BMI should not be from technology viewpoint, should be an idea. Technology is an enabler. To answer the question, usually when we work with SME, especially those SME that is new to technology, or maybe the second generation SME leader that just took over from their parents and they want to leverage on technology, but usually their employee are the older generation, they are not used to. What we usually work with them is we try to, for example, what we do is we try to package something that is small. That means, for example, in the shop, just as quick example, the shop is maybe this whole room, maybe you just implement it at one corner, one area, so that the employee can see the benefits, that this really helped me to reduce my workload, so they'll buy it, or, and you also manage the cost. You don't want to implement something as big, it costs you a lot of money, but if you implement it at one side, and prove to yourself that technology is really able to help you to do your work more effectively, able to help you to reduce your cost and increase your profit, then you'll be more willing, or it will be easier for you to convince your father, mother, you know, for second generation SME owner that technology is the way to go. So this is how we usually look. We understand the problem, we work then to package it into something small, something affordable, something that employee is also comfortable to try it out, and from there we move on. I mean, obviously, if the solution prove out, if they implement and show that it doesn't work, it doesn't help them, at least the loss is not as much. So this is how we usually do with SMEs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And of course, there are a lot of case files or cases that you can also share with us as well, right, to give us that encouragement. Thank you very much. I think that all boils down to how important BMI is, something that we really should consider, and also some ideas that were shared on how we can take a front step forward, no matter on which scale we are communicating the idea across. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking once again our distinguished panelists for being here, sacrificing some of their time to answer your most pressing questions. Please give them another big round of applause as we acknowledge them with gratitude and token of gratitude. I'd like to once again invite Mr. Lam Jun Hoi, Secretary General of SMF, to kindly please come onto stage to help us present a token of gratitude to our panelists as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Lam Jun Hoi. Thank you. And of course, we'd like to award our first gratitude, once again, ladies and gentlemen, to Ms. May Yap, LHD Holding Limited, our BMI awardee. Thank you so much. A token of gratitude also to Mr. Masood Basiri, Consistel, BMI awardee as well, who's joined us this evening. Please give him a big round of applause. Next, of course, we'd like to acknowledge is Professor Sergey Natisin from INSEAD. Thank you so much, sir. Professor. Also like to extend our gratitude to Mr. Satesh Dele from Frost & Sullivan. Thank you, sir. And from A-Star, Mr. Liao Eng Soon. Thank you very much. And also, we'd like to thank Mr. Alan Chua from Concord Security, one of our BMI awardees as well. And on that note, we'd like to invite all of our panelists to please step forward into the middle of the stage for a group photo taking together with Mr. Lam Jun Hoi. Thank you very much. Another big round of applause for our panelists, please. Thank you so much. Thank you very much once again to our panelists as we invite them to join us. We have come to the end of our conference, our Day 2 conference, Singapore Innovation and Productivity Conference.